Mute. We are so excited you are here for live What's Up Wednesday. I just hit my record button for those folks that can't be with us. Oh, there's my little Hudson Middle School. Hi, sweet lady. I know. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now and we will, get started. Super excited to have you guys here today. So most of you, I hope, read our What's Up Wednesdays. And that's not to sound like egotistical, but we really hope you are finding them valuable. Our goal really with this is not to inundate your email box. I think all of us can say we have email fatigue, right? I have email fatigue. My box is full. It's crazy. And we don't want to provide information for you that's just overwhelming you. But certainly we all know we've been in a crazy amount of wait time. Okay, now I'm going to be admitting people too. So just stay tuned. I'll be kind of going in and out. This is a newer Zoom license for us. So we're practicing it today. So I will be admitting people that are in the waiting area. While we go through today's What's Up Wednesday Live. But again, this is supposed to be more like a town hall, kind of a panel discussion. So if you read our newsletters, we're just trying to bring it to you live so that you can ask questions at the end. You can hear and see us. We will unmute you at the end, but we really want to encourage you to use the chat box function so that you can type in your questions. We'll all kind of keep an eyeball on that. And again, we're just muting everybody so that we can try to get through this and be really able to get through the content and help you understand it without being overwhelmed. So without further ado, obviously look at all of our little classroom feeding, delivering on bus, picking it up, all these new rules. We hope that after today, we can inspire you to take a deep breath and make the most of this, because we all know it's kind of, we're in this craziness together. I am going to, there we go. There's us. You see us, our faces here, and you see Christina here is with us as well. I am going to encourage you all to, when we get to her slide, I'm hoping I can let her just be the main screen, but I don't know if I figured that part out yet. But anyway, many of you remember Christina Scalise as a Pasonic partner, and she still will always be a Pasonic partner, but it serves in a very different role, and now is focusing a lot on helping others with their mindfulness, including us. So we have that tangential benefit, but we're all here today. Each one of us will take a piece of this What's Up Wednesday. We all do. We all collaborate on the newsletters. For many of you, you have a lead dietitian, but you know, if you put a support ticket in, you might hear from Marge. If you call me on my cell phone, I usually answer. If you have that number and exercise the bat line, we are all here for you, and we want you to know that. So if you haven't met us in person, you'll see us at least virtually today. We are hoping to, I think, end with the beginning in mind. And I think all of us need a moment of this, like, calming ourselves and relaxing a little bit. And we have all really tried to be that support for one another. And so we phoned our friend Christina to help us through a little bit of that to start this off. But certainly today isn't all about that, although we think it's important. We're going to kind of model and set like how you might start a day at work, because as soon as we get in, we get blasted with all of those crazy emails and problems and putting out the fire. And we just want to remind you, you can't be good for anybody else unless you're good for yourself. And so today we're going to start with that, staying calm in this chaos. Most of us know the hot topics we're going to be going through, what all of us are transitioning, which is obviously gratitude in first to the USDA for continuing to fund us in a greater capacity, and Sarah Carlson, all things for us that really keeps a finger on the pulse of legislative changes, compliance changes. She is our little compliance guru. So we're going to let her guide us through some of that, including discussing how to get through some of the waivers and understanding all the differences. We will be giving some examples too. Our team is going to jump in here throughout, like just the process of getting through it easier. I call this like the alphabet soup. So the SSO, Sfsp, FAQ, KPI, all that stuff, all of these little acronyms coming through. We are going to discuss our KPI, key performance indicators. We want you to have your finger on that pulse, and we're going to tell you why that's so important and how we can help you. Of course, for those of you who use our menuing system, HMPPRO stands for Healthy Meal Planner Pro. And we do have some cool new recipes. We want to continue to inspire, innovate, and really serve our customers. Our mission is wholesome meals fueling healthy lives. And we always say it's not nutrition unless they are eating it, right? Consuming, swallowing that nutrition. So it's important for us to continue, and we will, to be able to give you the best information, the most current recipes, and we will be continuing even in this unprecedented year to try to inspire you with new recipes. And in that regard, we're also going to celebrate all of you because, you know, we are working our fingers to the bone here, all of us, you all more so on the front lines, but we have industry partners on this call who have pivoted and helped support all of our transitions. And again, we just want you all to know how very much appreciated you are. Very essential you are. And so today and in future What's Up Wednesdays, we are going to feature some caught doing something good. And so I hope some of you on this this call will be surprised, or maybe a little feel a little warm and fuzzy seeing yourself up there, because we honor all the hard work you guys are doing on the front lines every day. And we would be remiss if we forgot that. So what I'm going to say is, here is our beautiful Christina Scalise. And Christina, I am sharing my screen. Do you want to just unmute yourself, and then I'll mute myself. And I'm wondering if folks can just, you can actually choose to select to view Christina, the speaker, and then if we're all muted, she should enlarge. But if not, I'm sure most of what she's going to tell you to do is to close your eyes anyway. So if that doesn't work for you, don't worry, you're still going to get the content.
Thank you, Maureen. Hi, everybody. I am so happy to be here and to see you guys, and just honored to lead this part of the presentation. So just kind of like what Maureen was saying, the importance of taking care of yourself, and you can't really be the best worker you can be, the best spouse you can be, the best parent you can be if you're not taking care of yourself. And that doesn't just mean physical health, right? That's mental health and what's going on up here. And in these times, you know, stress and anxiety, I think, are at an all-time high. And especially for people like myself, I consider myself very calm and mindful. And then I've noticed myself, you know, getting worked up and having to remember that I need to calm down and focus, take a moment of mindfulness in order to kind of like regroup. So we're going to go through a guided meditation, and I just invite you just to be open-minded and really just to kind of like immerse yourself in the situation with an open mind. And you know, and I always try and tell people that the more that we practice mindfulness, which is really just being aware of the present moment, observing your thoughts and feelings, observing what's going on in your body. If, you know, if your heart rate is rising, you know, you're anxious, we kind of tense up, we feel the heart rate rise, and we feel all of these symptoms of anxiety and stress. And usually we just like react, right? It's called a conditioned behavior. We just react in a certain way. And a moment of mindfulness will help to break that apart a little bit. So do we go with that conditioned behavior, or is there something that we can do that will help us to be a little bit more effective in the moment and manage the situation and the stress that's in front of us? So a daily mindfulness practice is obviously best, but that doesn't mean you need to sit here for like 20 minutes, right, and meditate. That's a very high task. Mindfulness can just be following your breath for, you know, 1 to 2 minutes, right? A daily mindfulness practice, though, kind of helps to train your mind to come back to a place of peace and presence when you are in times of stress and anxiety. It's kind of like we train our muscles at the gym, right? We don't just go to the gym once. We don't just meditate once. We don't just practice mindfulness once. We have to do it over and over in order to train our minds. So I'm just going to ask, we'll get started here. So with all of that being said, I just want you to find yourself in a comfortable position in your chair. Sitting with a relaxed but straight posture. Find a position so that you will not become drowsy, but one that is balanced and not straining. Allow your hands to rest comfortably in your lap. Loosen any tight clothing that will restrict your stomach. and then gently close your eyes. Simply allow your body to become still. Allow your shoulders, chest, and stomach to relax. Focus your mind on the feeling of your breathing. Begin by taking 2 or 3 deeper breaths from your diaphragm, letting the air flow all the way into your stomach without any push or strain, and then flow gently back out again. Repeat these 2 or 3 deep breaths, noticing an increased sense of calm and relaxation as you breathe in the clean, fresh air and breathe out any sense of tension or stress. Now let your breathing find its own natural, comfortable rhythm and depth. Focus your attention on the feeling of your breath as it comes in at the tip of your nose, moves through the back of your throat, into your lower diaphragm, and back out again. Letting your stomach rise and fall naturally with each breath. Again, return your attention to the feeling of the breath at the tip of your nose. You may notice that the breath is cooler coming in, warmer flowing out. Allow your attention to be focused on your breath and away from the noise, the thoughts, the feelings, the concerns that may usually fill your mind. As you gently breathe, become aware along the course of your breath. You can most easily hold a sense of feeling of gentle awareness. It may be at the tip of your nose, at the back of your throat, in your chest, or with the gentle rise and fall of your stomach. Let your attention rest gently at this point as you continue to watch your breath. As you continue, you will notice that the mind will become caught up with thoughts and feelings. It may become attached to noises or bodily sensations. You may find yourself remembering something from your past, thinking about the future, or flowing into fantasy. This is to be expected. This is the nature of the mind. When you notice this, without any self-judgment, simply observe the process of the mind, then return your attention to the breath. Simply ride with the flow of breath, feeling it move in and out, freely shifting with a gentle, natural rhythm. Now bring your attention back into the space of your body and into the space of the room. Make any small movements that feel good. You can wiggle your fingers, gently rock your head side to side. Move around gently in the space of the chair. And when you are ready, open your eyes and gently stretch out. All right. Thank you so much for participating in that. I hope that you feel a little bit calmer than you did in the beginning. And my only hope, that was a little bit of a longer guided meditation, but that isn't something that only qualifies as a meditation. So remember, when you are feeling stressed or anxious or upset about something, right? We have a choice. We have a choice to give into the stress and anxiety and pursue those thoughts that keep us going and react, or we have a choice to bring ourselves back to a place of peace and presence. And, a daily mindfulness practice of simply just, counting your breath 1 to 2 minutes. There's so many apps out there. Calm is an app I recommend. Mindful Moments is another free app that I recommend. So thank you so much. And if this is something that you enjoyed and you think would be beneficial to your workplace, please feel free to contact me and we can get my contact information to you through Pasonic Partners through Maureen. I am already doing a mindful meditation session with one of the local school districts. We'll be starting that next week. So if this is something that you think would be beneficial to your staff, I am more than happy to be a part of that with you. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciated being here.
Thank you, Christina. We are so happy to have you still as a Pasonic partner. And I know some of you, including my favorite work wife, Kim Saborik. I remember one time in my office at Hudson, I like clicked on the computer and I just did a YouTube search and did like guided meditation. And she was able to sit for just like 30 seconds. And she was like, oh, get out of here. I got so much to do. But it is a practice, right? So like if that felt uncomfortable, starting with like small segments of time, but really, again, you can't be good for others unless you're good for yourself. And we just thank you, Christina. And I'm also going to applaud, Bob Gorman. He reached out to us and said, like, my staff is stressed. We're all stressed. Let's work on this. And so, he's a leader in local food. I see him on the call here. We'll highlight that in a bit. But, our goal really is to help our staff survive this tsunami, right? The hurricane wrapped up in a tsunami. So thank you all for starting in a moment of calm. And I'm going to pass it to Sarah because we're going to continue with this wave. Believe it or not, we're going to talk about all this change and all this legislation, and we're going to try to keep this like level, even feeling of like we're all in this together. We can handle it, and hopefully model that for every day today for you all. So Sarah, take it away.
All right. So I think probably the biggest question that we've had since September 1st and everything that got released from the USDA is, do I choose SSO or Sfsp? Say that 10 times fast. And what do either of those mean? If you've never done summer feeding before, these are probably new terms to you. And as Maureen said at the beginning, we do kind of live in a land of alphabet soup. My husband laughs when we have conversations about this, and he's like, I kind of get the lingo now. But he was like, it's a lot to remember. So I can appreciate that. So the USDA did announce the continuation of the Seamless Summer and the Sfsp programs, and that is through December 31st of this year or until funds run out. So we're hoping that the money lasts until December 31st, and that would get us through this whole first semester being able to feed our kids. So you are allowed to feed up to 7 days a week. So that is a choice. And if you want to do that, you will need to go in and amend your application on CRRS or CURS and make sure that it says that you're feeding 7 days a week so that you're able to claim those meals. So make sure that you do click Saturday and Sunday if you have intentions of feeding the kids. We would definitely recommend that you take advantage of that. If you're already prepping up meals, I mean, what's an extra 2 meals? 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches, and then you'll be able to get reimbursed for those. So a really good option for you if you didn't catch that. I know sometimes when the emails go out from ODE, there's a lot of information packed into those emails. So that was something we wanted to make sure everyone was aware of. And districts can offer 1 meal pattern for all students. Okay, so we don't have to worry about a K-8 menu and talking about lunch, and then a 9 through 12 menu, which I know if you're picking up at an elementary school and any student can go there, that can be very cumbersome for the staff to make sure that they have meals for K-8 and then meals for 9 through 12. So it's just one menu across the board, which I think will be really helpful. So some things that we want to talk to you about. Area eligibility. This was another term that people were like, what does this mean? In a usual setting, when we talk about being eligible to run a seamless summer program or an Sfsp program in the summer, your district has to be at least 50% free and reduced. ODE/the USDA have waived area eligibility. So you do not have to be 50% free or reduced to participate. Any district can participate. If you are 5% free and reduced, you can participate. If you are CEP, you can participate. Non-congregate versus congregate meals. So congregate, if we're going to do that, we're going to get together, right? And if it's non-congregate, then it's not together. So if you are allowing students to take meals away and eat them at home, that is non-congregate feeding. So there is a waiver, and we'll talk about that you need to fill out in order to be able to let them take those meals off site. And then the other big question becomes on that application for a seamless summer or Sfsp, do we want to do open or do we want to do a closed site? So if you do an open site, that means your site is literally open to any kiddo ages 1 through 18. They do not have to be enrolled in your school district. You don't have to check that. So long as the kiddos come and pick up meals and they're ages 1 to 18, you're able to claim those meals. If it is a closed site, you must check that the students are enrolled at your district. So that's where you would need your roster sheet, and you would need the kiddos' first and last name, or however you're going to track those kids, the student ID number. That is how you would do that. So that would obviously limit the amount of people or kiddos that you would be feeding. So that is a decision up to the district if you want to make the site open or closed. So something that, as Maureen said, I'm like all things compliance. And for any of you that don't know, I worked and did audits for the state of Ohio before I came to Masonic Partners. And I want you all to know that compliance is still important. And I sat on a town hall meeting with the Ohio Department of Education last week, and Brian Davis reiterated this as well. You have to still keep track of things. So we still have to make sure our menus are accurate. So if you're doing SSO or you're doing Sfsp, you have to make sure that those menus are compliant and following the regulations. You still have to complete daily production records, okay? You still have to be able to track what you're doing, because again, you are going to be reviewed at some point. And if you get lucky enough to get reviewed next year, they will be looking at this year. So we want to make sure that we have all that documentation. Not to mention, this will probably not happen, but anytime that they do an administrative review, you are responsible for the 3 years prior to the year of that review. So they could ask to pull production records from any year they so choose. So let's just make sure that we have all of our T's crossed and I's dotted for sure. Making sure we're still doing proper portion sizes and crediting. So again, thinking through, if you've decided not to do offer versus serve through your pickup meals and you're just doing a serve model, that you are making sure that you are serving adequate amount of food, okay? It's not just half cups of things necessarily like we're used to in the cafeteria when the kids can come through and make decisions. So making sure that we have enough food there. And then counting and claiming. So if it's open versus closed, are you making sure if it's closed that the students are enrolled? If you're doing an open site, do you have a tally sheet? How are you keeping track of the meals that are getting picked up? These things are all going to be really important, that we still can show ODE this information. So we still have to be good stewards of all things compliance. So here's a little table that we put together. I know there's been a lot of confusion with SSO versus Sfsp and trying to choose what is best for you. So we are trying to be a conduit of information for all of you and give you the best information that we have, and kind of sift through all of it, because it's a lot of information that's come through at us in the last 2 weeks. Our team can definitely say that it's been a lot, even for us, to keep track of. I think the dust has settled a little bit, and we are kind of in a place where these are what's going on, and you need to decide what's best for your school. So are you going to do SSO? Or are you going to do Sfsp? What are the differences between the two? Can you do offer versus serve? What does the meal pattern look like? Does it matter to you if you can or cannot do vegetable subgroups? You know, do you want flexibility with that? Maybe that's a determining factor. Maybe it's all money driven. For a lot of us, I think that is the big point right now, is our budgets and making sure that we can make the best out of what we have going on this school year. Eligibility, we're all eligible for either of the programs. That was some of the other confusion I know I've had talked with quite a few districts in the last 2 weeks. You don't have to be a certain percentage to be eligible for one or the other. You can pick which one you want regardless. Some commodity earnings, this is another big difference. So if you want cash up front or commodity dollars later, there is some differences between the commodity earnings for SSO versus Sfsp. So making sure that you understand that. The commodity earnings for SSO are the exact same as NSLP. So no difference there, what we're all accustomed to when we're serving lunches during the school year. The commodity earnings when you do the Sfsp is a little different. You earn much less money per meal. So you have to kind of take that into consideration and run your numbers when you're looking at that. So do we want cash at hand now, or do we want commodity dollars? That's up to you on what works best for your district, but it is something to definitely take into consideration when you are weighing which program you should be doing for your district. And then administrative oversight. So again, SSO looks very similar to NSLP. There's not a whole lot of differences between those two programs. So the way they call it seamless for a reason. It does seamlessly transition you into the summer feeding in a traditional school year. So it is pretty seamless right now as well. The Sfsp does require a little bit more work. It's not a lot. I think some of us get a little scared when they're like, there's administrative oversight to the program. There's some information you have to fill out as far as sorting out budgets and those sorts of things, but it's not so much work that should deter you from deciding to do that program. If everything else aligns with what your district wants to do, I wouldn't let that stop you from choosing that program. And then this is another thing that I wanted to draw attention to, because again, this is a question that I've received. So as we're all trying to make money, right, and kind of weather this storm together, is how do we best serve a la carte? So in my personal opinion, I feel like offer versus or a la carte is best served to students that are coming to your brick and mortar buildings. Because if you are going to do a la carte sales offsite, so outside of your normal cafeteria space where you have a food license, this does require a conversation with your ODE program specialist. They need to make notes in your sponsor application that that is what you are doing. You also need approval from the Department of Health or your local health department on how you're doing that, right? They're going to want to walk through what this is going to look like. You have to have a very specific HACCP plan for this. You can't just take items like ice creams and stuff on a school bus and sell it, okay? Because again, there's that exchange of money happening. So now the rules go back to really strict for food safety, just like they do when we're serving meals and selling them at schools. So you have to make sure that you're doing this appropriately. There is an additional food license that you have to have because that is considered an additional location. So the same way as if you have a concession stand or a snack shack at your school and that's added to your food license, if you are going to take this on a school bus, a school van, however you're distributing this food off site and selling it, you have to have additional food license, which costs additional money. And it's going to be an additional inspection that has to be done. And a lot of times then the Department of Ag has to get involved. So it is quite a cumbersome process. So please make sure that if this is something your district wants to do, that you are just following through and making sure that you have, again, all of your T's crossed and all of your I's dotted through this process. But again, my recommendation would be to save a la carte for your kiddos on site if you have kids on site and that's possible. So at this point, hopefully we were able to clear up some of the questions and confusion and lots of terms that some of us have probably never heard of if you've never done summer feeding before. So weighing your options, if you still are undecided whether you should do SSO or Sfsp, hopefully now you have a better understanding and can make a more informed decision so that, again, we can best utilize this program from the USDA. Go ahead and go into KERS as soon as you can and update your application. You are allowed, once you hit submit, even though it says pending review, you can start your program. ODE is just taking a bit of time to get through all of them. Obviously, about every single school district in Ohio is electing to do one or the other right now. So it's taking them a bit of time to get things updated in the system, but you are good to go as far as ODE is concerned. Make sure that you complete your waiver surveys if you want to do them. So again, you do have to fill out if you're going to do congregate versus non-congregate feeding. There are waivers for those. They were sent out in an ODE email. There is a link in that email that you have to click to be able to go in and fill those out so that you are able to do that. And then again, just trying to get a confirmation with your ODE specialist that everything is up and good to go and that they don't need anything additionally from you, but they have been pretty good thus far reaching out if anything is missing once they get to your application. Again, they have a lot to go through right now. So just a little bit of patience. So again, this email was sent from ODE on Friday, September 11th. If you want to search your inbox, I know all of our inboxes are, to Maureen's point, very busy and there's a lot going on and a lot of email fatigue. So if you want to be able to search specifically, it was September 11th. And it was called the 2020-2021 School Meals Program Operations During Coronavirus Survey. ODE really loves things that have a lot of names, and by the end, like, you're completely winded saying them. So make sure that you check that out to get the link to fill those out. Again, you have to fill those out and be able to do things like the non-congregate feeding. That is not just an assumption. You can't just do it because you want to. Make sure you fill that out. I know the word survey is a little strange, but that is the actual waiver itself, are these surveys. And then if you can't find it, reach out to your ODE specialist and they will be able to send you a link so that you can get those filled out. And again, it's all about proper documentation. We are no longer at a place of asking for forgiveness. ODE would like us at this point to be asking permission. So that's why we just want to make sure that we've cleared up any confusion. Again, if there are still things you're unsure of, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. We would be more than happy to work through any questions that you may still have if you can't get a hold of your ODE specialist, because I know their lines are probably really busy right now. All right, and I'm going to pass it over to Tina.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'm kind of just gonna, as you all know, I've made clear to everybody out there, I am like the most computer illiterate person you will encounter. My job here is to make you feel better about yourselves when you go in to fill out these applications. So Sso Application, we'll show you that one kind of first. Very simple. When you're applying for your application, you want to go back into, just like your school year for the 2020-21, and click on Seamless Summer option. This is one that we did in the spring, so these applications are a little bit easier for us to go through. Just some of the key points as we're going through them that I realized as we were filling out, as I filled out my application, that, you know, you always skip that one question or you think you answered that question. So I kind of highlighted some of the options that I want to make sure that you don't have to go over like I had to, because oops, I forgot one as I went through. So you're on your Seamless Summer option, you want to click on it. Your first 1 to 9 questions are going to be your same basic questions that, you know, all your school information, all that, location, sites. The one thing is with your Seamless is you do have to fill one out for each site that you're doing any kind of passing out or any kind of feeding in. Like in the spring when we did it, we only fed out of 1 building. But now that they've extended this into December, we are now feeding out of 3. So you want to make sure for each building that you are now feeding your students, you're going to add a new application in there. They've already been approved. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to hit the add and put your information in for each building. Question 11, as you go down, you want to show your dates that we're going to be doing this. And they've already said that we'll be able to, on this one for the 2021 year, we need to mark October through December. You're going to put the days of the month that you're going to be actually passing out meals. If it's including your weekends, make sure you don't, if you're feeding weekends, make sure you include those in there. And your kind of average meals you're going to be doing per day. Now, a little trick here is September. If some of you have already started doing your Seamless Summer feeding, you're going to have to go back into your 19-20 school year application and go in there and amend that one. And all you got to do is go in and just add on your September, and you'll just have to put however many days in September that you're feeding along with your average meals you think you're going to be doing. And again, you have to do that for each one of the buildings. So Make sure that you may have to fill out your September, because again, if you're only doing one building in the spring, now you're doing 3, you got to fill out a new application again in September for all of them. Very easy questions, very simple. Answer all your questions, just follow down as you go through. On question 14, when you go down, you always want to put open. Right now, you know, most schools are doing open. It's the best way, easiest way for you. If you're doing open, there's a little drop down box right underneath it, and you just make sure you click which building you're doing. Otherwise, if you just hit the dot for the 14 and then you submit it, it's going to tell you come back and make sure you open up that box and put which building you're doing it at. Going down, we will go through 15. Again, is your meal times. Very important that you put your meal times in here. Again, if you are doing your Saturday and Sundays, you want to make sure you're clicking each one of those boxes. If you're doing breakfast, lunch, if you're doing snack, whatever, you want to make sure all of them are on there, and definitely make sure you have your times in there. Again, you just keep going down. Are you requesting a waiver? Here's a spot. If you're requesting the waiver, you want to go ahead and click on that. Then 17 through 19 talks about your offer versus serve. 20 through 23 fill out about your food distribution parts. 24, if you're going to do field trips. This stage of the game, I don't think too many people are going to be doing field trips. Then we come down to 25. Make sure this box is filled out where you're advertising. You're going to put in there, and for your advertising, it could be phone calls, it could be your website, it could be a school newspaper, but you still have to click in that little box and type in we're advertising in our website. You have to put something in there, otherwise it won't submit. Then 26 is about your severe need. 27, special directions to your buildings. If there's any kind of key components that you have to do, go around to the back of the building, or if it's, behind the board office, make sure you go in there. Again, you have to fill in that little box too, or it won't let you submit the application. Then you're just going to check your box, repeat again for each building that you have to do. Just remember that on your SSO, if you're doing September, you have to go back into your 19-20 school year and fill out that one for September. Now, our Sfsp application budget, and as Sarah went through all of these things, like she said, this is kind of scares you a little bit. It's kind of a little intimidating if we've never done this before. And as we've heard different things, oh my gosh, there's so much information that you have to do. It's not so bad. And I have an application. Oops, I don't know if I just went in there, or. Are you able to switch that out, Maureen?
No, I tried, honey, and it said access denied. So I don't know who's created that, but you can speak to it a little bit. Yep.
Okay, I'll just talk about it then. The budget. I know it sounds intimidating as you're sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, this is so much information. How do I plan a budget and get this all in this little area that we have to get this information in for? I went through, I talked to the ODE rep. He actually sent me a copy of the application so I could go in and see what they're expecting. They're not expecting anything totally off the wall. They just basically want to know what you're projecting for what your wages are going to be, what the food products, your cost of goods is going to cost you. It's very simple. And in fact, the reimbursements, they need a spot for administrative reimbursement and operational reimbursement, and the system's going to add that up right for you once you put your school district in there. So it's very simple. It's not as bad as it sounds. And then I have just kind of on there, it says the order of form of completion. And this is when you're filling out your SSO. This is kind of the order you want to do this in. You want to fill out your sponsor application, talk about your management plan, food production facilities, where you're going to do it, figure out what sites you're going to be doing this, how you're going to be doing it, fill out a budget, and just check off, do your checklist summary. It's simple. It's not as hard and as crazy as it sounds. I know the unknown is always a little more intimidating, but filling out the application is not as bad as it's going to be. So just like I said, they're not hard. Get your applications in, because the sooner you do, the sooner you're going to be able to claim them. This is Sarah.
All right, Miss Sarah.
All right. So again, remember, you are allowed to do weekend and holiday meals. This again is through the USDA allowing this. So again, make sure that if you want to serve meals, that, like Tina said, that you're going in and clicking those days that you want to serve them. For if you're doing any CA-CFP programs, the at-risk supper is allowed to be operated concurrently with these programs. Okay, so again, that's a program that you can continue to run. You don't need to make any changes there. And then if you are going to, when you do your August claim, any meals served from the starting of the school year until December can be claimed under SSO or Sfsp. So again, like Tina said, for summer, oddly enough, September is still counted under last school year. So you'll have to go to the top of the page, incurs, click school year, and switch it back to 1920, go in and amend that application to add August and September if you're going to, if you started school in August and September and already started these programs. So please make sure that you have that in there so that you can claim those meals appropriately. Again, you're allowed to start September 1st. Are the first meals that we are allowed to claim. So if you were a school that started early in August, those meals will still go under NSLP for this year. Little funky craziness, I know. But starting in September, then you are allowed to do the SSO or Sfsp. Hopefully that is as clear as mud, right? Hopefully, no. Hopefully it's as clear as glass now. Okay. So if everyone is now free and all students are eligible waived, are the fees waived, right? This is a question I've gotten asked quite a few times as well. No, okay, that is something completely separate, okay, from what is being done by the USDA. This is just where meals are concerned. The fees, the waiver, the fees still need to be paid. They are not waived, okay? So please make sure that that is made clear and that we're not giving out misinformation to parents, and that that is clear to anybody in your school district as well, because I know there has been some confusion around that. So we are just talking free meals, breakfast and lunch, to students right now. And then the meals that are served again prior to SSO, how do you reconcile those accounts? We're kind of waiting to hear from the USDA. As of last Thursday, when I sat on ODE's town hall, they are still awaiting direction as well from USDA. So stay tuned. As soon as we find out, we will definitely put it in our What's Up Wednesday newsletter out to all of you. And ODE should be sending an email update as well once they find out that information.
Yeah, and for everybody, just to clarify again, so people are kind of going, where am I claiming what under? What we're talking about with the reconciliation is if you have already sold meals to your kids in September and now you're going to claim them SSO or Sfsp, there is yet to be determined some guidance on to how you may reimburse those students that would have paid for those meals. And you didn't realize that you could have given them away because that information came out a little after the fact. So again, we know this seems confusing. That's why we started with our Zen moment. We are here to continue to funnel and answer questions and support you. And so some of this is, again, a moving target, but we will keep after it for you all. So I'm going to jump back in really quickly. And, obviously we talked a little bit about your choice and how to get going with the ideas of which application, but let's go through some of this stuff, which we all know, we preach at Episonic, because you don't know where you want to go unless you know where you're at, where you've been, all of that stuff. Also, you will see many people are perhaps even asking you, perhaps your treasurer, your board of education, your principals, like, why are we switching back? What's going on? So if you don't know what your average daily participation was prior to COVID, during the months of March through August, and then now into our new, whatever version of school you have, brick and mortar, hybrid, remote, it really would behoove you, really would be a great asset for you to be able to give that number. Specifically when you're talking about, we've had schools that are worried about their meals per labor hour and their staffing, really trying to show the impact of how hard it has been to keep participation up and what that means and what we're doing to try to increase participation, because we know, again, we're running a school business. It's a business of food service. And so these are all data numbers that I think are going to be really helpful for us to be able to show the impact this pandemic has had on us, be able to tell the powers that be at ODE or anybody who might ask it to get information as a state to perhaps gain more access. Our goal really now is to continue to advocate so that in December, this doesn't go away. So if we can keep really good data all collectively, we're going to be able to share with the powers that be and really exercise amplifying the message how important this is to continue funding schools based on the fact it's like our bailout, right? We kept talking about this as like our school business bailout. So we need to know our numbers. The ones we're suggesting that you kind of keep track of is obviously participation. I'm curious for us to really understand, you know, even when we give it away for free, we know that we've seen schools that aren't seeing a great participation with their virtual learners. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we can reach out and perhaps try different modalities. You know, in this, you know, I love all these catchphrases, unprecedented year and these pivots. Many schools that are seeing a really high % participation of virtual learners having meals had to really stand on their head a little bit to get that participation up, meaning multiple curbside day pickups. We know that families are back at work, right? We also know that we have virtual learners. I have one. I'll talk a little bit about her. So if you're a parent that has to sit in front of a Zoom lesson for a kiddo at home and you miss the window. So there's lots of things we've been hearing about barriers to those remote learners accessing the free meals that they're able to get. Obviously, many of you pivoted to great curbside pickup, but also delivery. We've seen some of the highest participation in those schools that have taken the extra step and actually done that and created either bus route delivery or specific areas of concentrated need delivery so that we can absolutely continue to push the needle on participation. The other piece here is our plate costs, right? We know we have industry on this line today. They have been very helpful. They've been up against the pandemic just as we have, and we've seen a really high food cost in some of the meals that we traditionally would have served. So, you know, we are always doing that KPI analysis to be able to show the problems of, you know, high cost of labor, low meals per labor hour, and then high cost of food, specifically if you're going to a more individually wrapped or, you know, ready, set, serve menu. We're helping schools kind of think through that process. If you have labor on board and you're able to buy bulk items and create the menu, you're likely going to see a better plate cost average with a decrease in your food cost and normalizing using the labor that you have. So please contact us. We obviously have a KPI tool, but besides that, these are just really numbers that I think all of you need to know because you really don't know what goals to set or where your problems are unless you have some analysis of that. So that's not new, but very specifically important. Again, pre-COVID, COVID to now. Because it's all about the money. And, you know, when we were talking to some schools about, hey, now we're flipped back to this free program, you know, when I was sitting there chatting with our school district, Hudson, and I know Kim may still be on the line, you know, we were really making it crunch it to the numbers that make sense. Like how is this going to support paying staff labor and benefits? And the difference between looking at some of the reimbursements and doing an analysis allowed us to understand what our average salary and benefit was for the month and how we can continue to promote shooting for goals like 50% participation. Let's get there. How are we going to get there? And what does that mean if we're able to claim these meals under SSO versus Sfsp? So doing that number analysis and being able to talk intelligently to any questions you might get from your treasurer, from your superintendent. Certainly parents are starting to call now, hey, what's going on with the free meals? You know, we've often got the question, most of us that have had programs that have run financially solvent in the black, it's going to be a new year for us. And we don't want to face that call from the dreaded, you know, are my taxpayer dollars paying for this? You know, that kind of question. So we want to really arm you with not only the right story to tell, but a factual story with facts and figures and numbers. This is one example case study. We looked at 2 different districts, looking at what the pre-COVID average daily participation and the COVID meals per labor hour in districts that were having a pretty nice 006 balance. And then knowing that right now in the first year to date to school year, we've seen a dramatic dip in both the % participation and the meals per labor hour, and certainly worrying about the hit it's taken on our financial reserves, if we have those, if we're blessed enough to have those, but certainly anticipating and forecasting is going to be a huge tool and asset for us to be able to speak intelligently about our business and really talk to the folks that we need to in our district about that. Making the most of your money. I would be remiss if I didn't say, these are I do have a little soft spot. Obviously you all know from Hudson. But here it is, they had some brick and mortar hybrid days, and it would be easy for just to say, let's not go crazy and get too much going on. But the staff here really, really wanted to give the kids what they wanted. And we know if you are a school that historically has had high participation in a la carte sales, to just turn your eye to that and say, I don't have time for that, or it's too crazy. Just be careful. We know that a la carte and pre-order, specifically if you have adult meals, or giving the parents an opportunity to see your menu and really do a little more advertising. The knee-jerk reaction is to keep it simple and to dumb down the menu or dumb down the options, but only you know what your customer satisfaction and your customer feedback, what you need to do, right? So if you do all this work and you apply for an SSO or an Sfsp, but then you dumb down the menu and you have kids that are like, oh, I don't like that, I'm not going to participate, even if you're going to give it to me for free, you're not helping yourself, right? So I understand we're all up against kind of thinking through how much is too much. And I always say, my ladies at Hudson will say, I say quality, not quantity, but we also know, each of us, and depending on what school district you're servicing, what the expectation is. And, no matter what that is, urban, rural, suburban, we all know that, it's not nutritional unless they swallow it. So we want to make sure we're thinking about what we're putting on our menu. And we're really trying to look at some metrics from last year. What were our popular menus? What do we know our kiddos like here? And really trying to capitalize on that for students. So I am going to pass it over now to some maybe inspiration, we hope. If you feel like you're stuck in a rut already on this September the 16th, and we just started the school year, we hope to inspire you with some new ideas. So I'll hand it over to Lauren.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, like Maureen said, this is kind of the bread and butter of Pasonic Partners. Those of you that have worked with us for a very long time know that we are always trying to kind of move that needle forward and keep kids really engaged in the menus that we are providing to them and providing good quality, delicious, nutritious meals. So if you're not familiar, definitely check out the organization. It's Feed Our Future. It is a local initiative and partnership. Pasonic Partners does sit on the board of that organization. It is through the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, and basically their main goal is to promote all things farm to school. And so we, through this collaborative and through this partnership, have developed a couple local takeover recipes for this program, but certainly they are available to all of you as well. So we actually did a little like photo shoot with some of these meals this week. And the top left, you can see our Peachy Keen Cookie Crumble, which features local peaches, as well as a local Dogo's cookie crumbled on top there. It's delicious. We've got some different bistro box options available. So the one in the bottom middle, that features all local products, but we certainly want to meet schools where they're at. So you can kind of sub in some not local products and potentially use some commodity options to make these meals a little more cost efficient for your district and for your budget. For this particular one, it features the shag bark cornmeal chips. So if you've ever had the shag bark tortilla chips, some of the same company, as well as some other local produce and dairy options there. And then we have developed 2 shaker salad recipes. So you can see they're the nice little layered salads. Certainly those would be very great for anything grab and go if you're doing brick and mortar, but they'd also be great for any curbside pickup there as well. These are 2 other options that I am really excited about. So on the left, we have our pizza bagels. So if you were with us on August 5th for our back to school boot camp, some of these may look a little familiar to you. And you may have gotten to taste them if you got our What's in the Box sample package. So for those of you who've ever been to the West Side Market, this is the pizza bagel lady. She was able to make a whole grain option for us, and we were able to get those in our schools. We have it shown here with a bistro box application. Again, can be some DoD produce, or certainly can be local as well. And then on the right, we have the Dogo's breakfast bar. It's similar to the ultimate breakfast round, but certainly made local. Same thing, you can kind of sub in some different options to make that a nice little bistro box option for your kiddos as well. Again, we we realize that the individually wrapped options may be very convenient depending on the different model that you're choosing to implement in your school, but we know that it may not always be the most cost efficient. So with this, we're trying to show you some different bistro box made in-house or scratch made options that you can put on your menu that could really highlight some different simple scratch made recipes, as well as that local and fresh produce as well. So we've got a very classic ham and cheese bistro box. We also saw that Land O'Lakes is, they have a product out, it's just a white queso dip. So there's a lot you can do with that, whether you want to throw it on pasta and do kind of a macaroni salad application, or add some extra stuff into the queso. We've got kind of like a spicy chili queso dip. So there's a couple different ways you can throw that into some different bistro boxes there. And then we also have a classic nacho bistro box too. Again, for those of you that were able to try our what's in the box sample items, this will look familiar to you. We're very excited because the Jenny O turkey stick is now in stock with GFS. This counts as one meat alternate. And again, the theme of the day is bistro boxes. If you get a nice little assembly line set up, you can really kind of crank out quite a few of those in relatively quick time. So again, if any of these individual items or the bistro box application seem interesting to you, you'd like to try them on your menu, feel free to shoot us a support ticket and we can get those on your menu for you.
Thank you, Lauren. All right, so you know, I've clicked you through kind of quick. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I just want to make sure we're mindful of time. We're running a little long, but we have the intention to stay on for questions at the end. And again, typing them in the chat box. I will unmute folks after we're done, but I would be remiss if I didn't give out some gratitude and props for all the good stuff we're seeing going on. And you know what, so, you know, we say it's like riding a bike. We've gone into schools, you know, certainly we have featured here Woodridge and Garfield and who else do we have here, ladies? Help me out. Copley. Okay, so everybody, you know, we're definitely not just going back into, you know, foreign land. We're going into the things that we know the kids like and really doing it a little differently, but certainly we're so impressed by all the ways you guys have made the packaging work, still created bundles that look amazing. And so certainly we wanted to talk through some of the things we just saw. And yes, this was my lunch when I visited Hudson, and this is homemade corn salsa. They said that they didn't want to do their Fiesta grilled chicken salad, which is one of my favorites there, without having some special homemade touch to it. And it was absolutely delicious. So shout out to Beth at Hudson High School for really taking an extra step. We didn't plan the menu that way because we didn't want to overwhelm her. And she came to us and said, no, I wanted to add it back. So that was awesome to see. Don't forget if you're on this call, thank you for your ingenuity and your willingness to create. And if you're a leader on this call, remember, you know, it makes our staff feel really, really wonderful when we celebrate all their care and their home cook touches to these recipes. And we can amend anything in Healthy Pro to make it work. So the other thing I saw, and I'll have to see, yep, it works. So a lot of us saw this, right? But not only when I'm standing there, I just wanted to tell you, I saw this and it made me really happy. This was at the Snack Shack at Hudson High School. So glad you are here. Remember, we are in the business of customer service, and these little things, you are always loved, just warmed my heart on my walkthrough. The kids are looking. They're not only looking where they're supposed to be standing in your cafeterias, but they're happy to see you as well. And then last but not least, you know, just got this hot off the press, a sign that's going to go on a website, really kind of trying to help folks understand what's all going on. And so any signage you can do both in the brick and mortar or the virtual, if you have remote learners, can really help guide and make people understand what you're doing a little bit better. Shout out to our very own Dawn Johnson. I don't know if she's on this call. She's a little mover and a shaker. She has won the Health and Wellness, or hats off to Heroes Award. She won also the title of Health and Wellness Supervisor. I don't know if she feels like she won that. She was given that title. So not only isn't she in charge of wonderful lunches, she's also making sure people have PPE and are safe. But she is our Hats Off to Heroes Award recipient on behalf of the Cleveland Browns for doing just awesome work in East Cleveland. We just give her so much kudos for her tenacity and keeping going. Loving local, I have to say, I am, and you already saw these. These will be featured. We have 5 winners. I'm really happy to say Plain Local City Schools, Minerva, Fairview Park. I know Diana Hill, I saw she was on this call. Kudos. Broadview, Brecksville. So my little one will get a chance to try this, and our very own Garfield Heights. So Lauren. So again, kudos to all of you who are, even though you're buried and you're trying to make this work, you're still signing up and getting grant money. This program is going to allow those schools a $2,000 grant to invest in doing a local takeover day. And it's going to be super fun. So we're pumped and really excited that those schools are still electing to be innovators and go above and beyond. I think communication is key, and I really want Tina to give you a really quick example. We still have to, again, even though we're giving it away for free, we all know our participations are lower than we want them to be. So Tina had a great example this week on one of our calls, and I'm like, I'm going to have you share that because I think it's awesome to be able to hear it straight from who's doing it. So give us your example from Woodridge, Tina. She's muted again. She is muted.
Sorry about that. Told you I'm not a computer person.
I know.
So that's one of the things. We're overloaded with all these emails. So what we've decided to do was start making phone calls. We need to sell our programs. I get phone calls every single day from parents questioning about the free meals and all that. Why not? I have perfect audience right there. Sell it to them. Hey, listen, our menus are now designed for your little kiddos. We've made our menus designed perfectly for what your kids like. Please make sure your kids come in. You have the parents that'll say, well, I don't, save the money, we'll save the meals for the kids who really need it. Sell it. Tell them, listen, this is federally funded from the government. Everybody is entitled to these meals. And that was it. It's just making phone calls. Sometimes it's not the greatest thing. It's not the funnest thing, but it's definitely gotten the participation up. Sending out reminder emails, another thing to all your virtual. We all have lists that are just virtual students. Send out an email to that person. Make phone calls to those people, reminding them that everybody's entitled. But again, communication. If we don't communicate to these parents, they're just going to all be standing around seeing what's on Facebook, and might not be true. So by word of mouth and us actually speaking to them, they get it right out of our mouths, the truths, and participation will go up.
I loved it. So after Tina did that, she's been doing her own KPI analysis. I'm going to give a caught doing something good to you as well. Tina actually made money in the spring during the pandemic, but they hustled and they delivered food. And so she's so keen on looking at the KPI. She has already, again, been on the horn talking to the elementary parents. And I think you just shared that your numbers are getting close to being what they were last year. So right. Even though she has virtual folks, their elementary, how many percent elementary kiddos are virtual for you?
We are almost 40% of our elementary kids are virtual.
So elementary Woodridge, 40% virtual, and she's creeping up on meeting her KPI, like matching the participation for breakfast that she had last year. So, I mean, again, every little bit of connectedness helps to bridge that gap in participation. I'm not going to click on this, but I'm going to tell you, I live this life as a parent, and I know Kim's going to laugh. I am the mom of a second grader. When she met me, Hannah was in second grade, and now Addison is. And boy, dealing with a junior in college who was just trying to FaceTime me, I could have put her up here and shown her what we're doing. But so I was able to go on to print off the menu, which was one of Addison's favorite things to do last year, and really look at how Cindy put together what she's calling her Bees Eats order form. And it's a Google form, and it tells me hot of the day, what her bistro side boxes are, and what her other alternatives are. And so it was really an opportunity for me as a parent to discuss with Addison and really let her pick. And she was pumped. She was pumped. She had 3 cheese cavatelli the first day, and pizza, and all the things that she hasn't had since last year because we don't serve those here at home. But she really it resonated with her, and it was really exciting for me as a parent to see her get excited about being back in whatever capacity she can, and then also being able to select the meal she wanted. I'm going to pass it over to Marge, the soft-spoken, usually the one that brings home the message, but she's also, for many of you who type in the ticket, Johnny on the spot. I mean, she's so fast at responding to your tickets and leads several of our school districts, but also is really great at helping us with all things Healthy Pro. So Marge, take it away.
Yeah. So what I wanted to highlight is how you can maximize the messaging and marketing on your My School menus view. So those of you who work with us and have Healthy Meal Planner Pro, hopefully you know what your parent student view of your menus look like. And if you don't, an easy way to access that is if you go into Healthy Meal Planner Pro and go to what we call your district tab. This screen will come up, and all you have to do is click on that View Public Menus, and that will take you right to how the parents go in and click on a school, click on the menu that they want to view. And so we've had a lot of schools, really enhance messaging and marketing through My School menus. And if you see things that are out there that you think, gosh, this would be great, and I could use this to really enhance a marketing message on my web page or my school menus, or even as signage. I saw this on a Facebook group, and I thought this was fabulous. Such a simple idea that even advertising to people who may not always be buying or getting a lunch every day, that they still have the option of taking 3 components that would be, a traditional reimbursable meal, but getting that for free. So say as a mom of 3 teenage boys who I can never pack enough food, I love this idea because they could go get sides to go along with a packed meal, or for student athletes who need extra food and don't ever seem to have enough from what the parent packs. This would be a great way to market. And so we've actually taken things like that, and if you see an item like that and think, gosh, I could advertise that right on my menus. These again are those side widgets, we call them, that go on the side of your My School menu parent view page or the public view. And so some of these, like for Youngstown as an example, they said, hey, make sure that we have on our view that all children under the age of 18 will feed regardless of what school district you attend. So we can put that right on there alongside of their distribution sites information, put a link right in there for them. Healthy Meal Planner Pro also has some great videos. So the one in the kind of center there, you'll see that there's a link. If a parent just clicks on that, it gives some great tips for food safety at home for some of the grab and go meals. And then I, again, stole the take 3 and it's free and put that on for marketing. On the right there, I love Parma, again, is great at doing local. So they have a lot of advertisement on the side of their menus to let folks know that they are using local produce, even local food products from area restaurants that are familiar to people. So anything like that, make sure, just shoot us a support ticket if you find things that you want to advertise. Also, don't underestimate the power of social media. So what I did is I went, I think some of my colleagues here would say I'm the old school one who goes on Facebook, but I know a lot of parents do too. And so I actually went to many of the schools that we work with and their Facebook pages to see what they were posting about their menus. And I would challenge you all by the end of the week to get out there and post something, because to say I was a little disappointed that there wasn't a lot of posting out there, I think that's really an avenue that could be explored more. I was really pleased to see Jackson Local Schools had on a post about free lunches. Love that Diana Hill at Fairview Park had this post about the meals and a picture of a great salad. When I talked to some of my parent friends, they'll say, oh yeah, you said kids get free meals, but it's a lot of that pre-packaged, individually wrapped stuff. I'm not going to take advantage of that. But I think seeing something like this, that's a salad, homemade, meals, high quality, that's fabulous. So kudos to you, Diana. Of course, I thought, well, if I'm not finding anything for some of the local schools that have postings on their Facebook page, I went to Cincinnati Public Schools because I know Jessica Shelley there is likely to have something. And sure enough, she had a post on there about filling out meal applications. There are great resources too, again, that you can borrow from. If you are a Facebook user and are not on this Tips for School Meals That Rock, I would recommend that. They just had this posted and have a file where you can download this. You could even put this, on a school website page, use this for signage within the school for why students should take advantage and families should take advantage of the free meals. So again, kind of think about all the ways that you can just shout it out with all the social media venues.
Well, thank you so much, Marge. And let us know. We certainly want to help you make your menu look and reflect your mission and your value. Again, we are, just like the restaurants are trying to rebuild their business after COVID. It's like we're in the same boat. So looking at like what your favorite restaurants are doing to get you back and willing to even come and take out meals there, steal the ideas, let us know. We can customize anything for your district messaging. We are also trying really hard to keep you informed on our NutriSmart website. So if you haven't visited our COVID-19 tab, has lots of free downloadable resources. And then also, I would be remiss, I always kind of give a shout out to my partner in crime out there in California. Jen McNeil and her group at Lunch Assist do a really great job. She has I think the best handle on like the waivers. We all complain when we look at like, just no offense to our Department of Education, but sometimes it's hard to just read through memo codes and try to figure out what the heck's going on. She does a really nice job of depicting it in graphic form. And so again, helpful for not only you to understand it, perhaps to make your parents help understand it, or even principals and folks that are curious to see what the facts are about the changes in the waiver. So lunchassist.org, they have a great COVID section as well that has a lot of free resources. So what I'm going to do now is I know we've passed the time. I really felt like we needed a mindful start, and I really wanted, we had a lot of content in terms of the have to changes in the legislation and the waivers and the USDA information, but I don't want to make this a talking head video. So I'm going to stop this sharing and we'll go back to, I'm going to try to unmute everybody. I'm looking here and trying to see if I have questions in the box, but I'm going to try here to unmute all. Let's see, unmute all. So I have unmuted all of you, or you can choose to unmute yourself if you know how to do that. And I'm going to start looking. I'm seeing lots of thank you, Hudson Middle School. Thank you to Diana. Which one do we want again, congregate or non-congregate? So if you are feeding outside of your lunch space, you're doing non-congregate, right? So congregate means they're in the cafeteria. So I think most of us at this point are doing a blend of both, right? Unless you're a small private school, not many of us are all in with all the kiddos in all the time. So you want to pick non-congregate. Non-congregate would allow you to feed offsite. Marge, thank you for responding. Can you speak to how we complete production sheets for a 5-day meal bag? Yes, that's a great question. So when completing production sheets, if the menu is planned in Healthy Meal Planner Pro, you can definitely add volumes. I know some of you transitioned to bulk menu delivery. We've planned that menu out, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, chime in. You can show what the total volume packs, like let's just say it was a head of romaine lettuce. One of the other good things Lunch Assist does is give you a bulk calculator on how to do that as well. So let me know how we can help you complete production sheets. I think, the goal is to be able to write down what you're doing and that it's meeting the day-to-day requirement, either a 5-day or a 7-day. But yes, you can still use your Healthy Pro. I'm looking down here. Contact Lauren. She's been doing a great job. You guys have been asking. Okay, so I'm going through these and you guys have been answering. So you guys have been seeing the chat questions. Anybody on the call that has a live question, or I see Kathy Zakelli is on. For many of you, she's our lead at Gordon Food Service. Kathy, I don't know if you have anything to share today, or any of our industry folk, feel free to chime in. I said Kathy unmuted, but I can't hear you if you're sharing anything. All right, we've got a lot of thank yous and support, and we all thank you for your time. I know we went over, we'll try to keep it to an hour for future, but our goal really is to continue at least once a month. We generally put out the What's Up Wednesday the first and third Wednesdays of the month, in case you wondered. And our goal really is only when there's imminent information to do more. I think all of us have email fatigue. That was part of the decision as to why to continue to do at least once a month video. When we did August 5th, I think all of us felt this like lovely, energetic charge. And then we quickly got down the hill of the roller coaster and started on this wild, wild ride that has been September. So we really want to be able to be your lifeline and support. I think all of us need to know that there is, you know, all of us, we're all in this together, but there's others around you, and there's something that we all value and miss about the in-person meetings when we can talk to one another and see one another. So for future, again, we'll keep it to an hour. We will likely try to do it the third Wednesday of the month, unless there's other pressing pertinent issues. We value your input as well. I thank you for the appreciations that are coming through on the box. We appreciate you, but we also want to hear from you. If there's something you want to see in the What's Up Wednesday, or at the a future live version of this What's Up Wednesday, we would really love to have you on board. So we appreciate your time today. And if you need us, you know where to find us. We appreciate and thank you all for your time.